my husband cannot give me a child, so let me go and sleep with another person. God sees you as another man's wife. You can't go hurry yourself for any reason. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Stella on DearStellaTV with another banger of a topic. But before we get into it, cheers guys, let's have a drink. This is how we roll on this channel. Guys, thank you so much. Welcome to my new subscribers. Welcome. Thank you to those who watch my videos. Thank you for clicking your like button. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing my videos if you do. And thank you so much for those men. Guys, today I want to talk about a big topic. I've talked about it on my TikTok channel a lot, and if you aren't on TikTok, it's at DearStellaTV for all my clips. I have more videos there than on YouTube actually. The question I have today that I'm trying to answer by the grace of God is cheating a way out in a marriage? I want to dig deeper today in a different way. I mean, I think I have another video where I talked about is flirting, cheating, and all of that. So if you haven't seen any of my videos, please try and check. But today I'm doing it I'm going to talk about it, taking it a different angle. Because guys, when it comes to marriage, we know it's a lifetime journey of two people, a husband and a wife, with children, with parents, relationship, with exes in some cases, and all of that. There are cases where you ask the question, is cheating the solution to the survival of a marriage? Can cheating be the solution, in quotes, to the survival of a marriage? That is a question you should be answering. That's a question I want to try and answer. Today, I want to tell you a story. I hardly tell you a story when I'm bringing you videos, but today I have a story to tell you that just depicts, it's just perfect. I think I was led to read that story just before I started to do this video, and the story is of Abraham in the Bible. Guys, go and read Genesis chapter 20. I'm going to try and summarize it. It's a couple who encounter in their migration journey that was, migration journey that was instructed by God. They encountered a problem, just like us today. In your marriage, if you are married, husband and wife, you will encounter problems in your life's journey. It's standard. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you it's going to happen. It's a question of when and where, right? This couple faced similar problem, and they took the easy way out. In which case, where cheating, they saw it as a way for their survival. And a lot of couples do this. So first, I'm going to tell you a story. Then I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you 5 reasons couples might think and resort to cheating as being their solution, whether temporary or permanent solution. It's a story about Abraham. Genesis 20 is a story about Abraham and Sarah. Now, Abraham was told by God to go on a journey south, to travel south. Just the way my husband and I, we used to live in Nigeria, and we traveled all the way across the ocean to England, right? So day two, Abraham and Sarah, they traveled south from Abraham's father's house and all of that. They traveled to a land called Gerar. I think that's what is pronounced, Gerar. Now, in Gerar, when they got to Gerar, before they got there, Abraham told Sarah, they planned it. He said, look, for my survival, Abraham, if you are asked, please say that you are my sister, and I will say I'm your brother, rather than we are husband and wife. Why? Because Abraham was scared that he could be killed, because Sarah is a beautiful woman, and maybe the king or whoever might want to take her from him. So just, just say that you're my sister. Now, this happens in marriages. I'm going to use the story to, it will flow, and I'll be telling you, comparing, putting a parallel with what happens in marriages, right? When people travel abroad, like when we came to this country and we encountered immigration problems, I remember somebody suggesting to us that, just give your children to your sister. You say you have a sister in the country. I said yes. Just give your children to your sister. You and your husband just go on the ground. Like when you get declined at the home office, maybe instead of renewing your paper, they don't renew it. And my husband and I, we came together. We said, no, that's not going to happen. If we're going to leave the country, we're living as a family. Nothing is worth it. We are not going to go against God's law just so that we can get paper. Now, that is us. But another couple in a marriage might decide that, you know what, let us divorce. Let us, a marriage that came from Africa, they were married, happy and everything. But they come here because they encounter immigration problems, just like Sarah and Abraham. Right, so some couples come from Africa married, then they come to, America, any country in the world, and they decide, because they have immigration problems, so to overcome that challenge, they decide, let us fake divorce, right? Then they fake divorce so that maybe the wife can go and marry somebody else so that they can get their documents, their immigration papers, and the other one goes to marry, the man goes to marry maybe another woman to get paper. I really don't know how it works after that. Excuse me. If they maybe after they get their paper, then they will divorce, the fake divorce, and then maybe they'll come back again and remarry, right? So people do stuff like that to get by and to get on. So Abraham and Isaac did did something similar. So for their survival in another man's land, in the land of Gerar, where there was a king called King Abimelech. Now, just as Abraham feared, they got to that place and the king asked the couple, who is she to you? Now, instead of Abraham to say, oh, she's my wife, and claim his wife, he said, oh, she's my sister. And Sarah too said, oh, he's my brother, right? So as far as the king is concerned, there is no, relationship between these two people, like, right? They're not married, so I can have her. So the king, Abimelech of Gerar, took Sarah, Abraham's wife, to be with him, right? As his woman. This is exactly what I'm saying about contemporary life now, where couples divorce, fake divorce. I mean, at that time when Abraham said, she's my sister, it's like, it's not on paper, but it's like dissociating himself from his wife. So more or less, this is what couples do. So they say, oh, but you forget that there is a God, a covenant-keeping God who was there when both of you got married, and your relationship is like this. It can't be broken just because you speak it and say, oh no, she's not my wife. It doesn't happen like that. Now, let's see, something very interesting happens, because we are trying to answer the question, is cheating a way out when you encounter problems in your marriage? Now, at night, the kind of problems, contemporary problems now, that make people think of cheating includes: one, impotency in marriage for the husband. Impotency, or alternatively, it's called erectile dysfunction, in which case maybe the husband cannot get an erection. 2, if he gets an erection, it's not sustained. 3, if he gets an erection, it's not hard enough to penetrate. So there are different forms of it. So if a couple has this problem, they might say, you know what, since her husband does not satisfy her, and she's been trying to cope for a few years, maybe cheating, she could get her sexual satisfaction outside. Is that right in a marriage? Because you said it's for better, for worse. In that scenario, you should be making every effort to be there for your spouse, for your husband, to find medical solution that has to do with maybe finding non-medical solution. Maybe there are things he can drink, naturally occurring products that he can use, and all of that. So that is what you should be doing in a marriage. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4, I love it so much, from verse 9, 10, 11, 12. It makes it very clear. He said, if one falls down, if two people are together, like in a marriage, if one falls down, the other one will be there to help him up. He said, but you should pity anyone who has no one to help raise them up when they fall down. Now, there will be a falling down, either from the husband's side or from the wife's side, excuse me, as long as your marriage exists. Falling down in terms of there will be problems that either happens to the husband or to the wife throughout the life of your marriage. I can't even tell you the kind of challenges my husband and I have gone through, but as long as you are together, as long as you are united, you can overcome anything through prayer, because God is with you. Husband, wife, remember the 3, if you haven't seen my last video, you should go and watch it. Remember the 3-strand cord that I told you about that cannot easily be broken. Father, son, husband, wife, God. So as long as you put God at the center of your marriage, you can overcome anything. The problem is, do you have the faith? Do you have the faith to overcome? That is the thing. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in his son, Jesus Christ? That is the thing. Anyway, go back to the story. So one problem that can make people look for cheating as a solution, especially the woman. Remember, if you go and cheat as a solution to... Now, if you use cheating as a way of escape for the solution to your own problem as a wife, what about your husband? Does that mean, are you lifting him up in his moment when he's down? In Ecclesiastes 4:12, it says that although one can be overpowered, 2 cannot easily be overpowered. If your husband has a problem that has to do with his erection, it is a shared problem with husband and wife. It's not the one that the wife can just move and say, oh, let me go and have a boyfriend so that I can have sexual release because of my frustration. What about your husband's frustration? So that's one problem. Look at it from that way. Second reason couples think that, married couples think that I can go and cheat and get solution is childlessness or miscarriages, where a woman miscarries, or the couple, they are childless, they don't have kids, and everybody, especially if you're from Africa, they blame the woman, the mother-in-law, the husband's parents, or the mother-in-law can blame the woman and say, oh, you are the problem. And it might be that it's their son that is a problem, but out of shame and respect for her husband, she might not, rat him out, which is the right thing. They're not supposed to go and be telling them, oh, your son is a problem. No, because this is your marriage, this is your life. But if your husband has a problem, it's your problem. If you have a problem like miscarriages, for example, right, it's your husband's problem. You cannot share it and say, oh, let's divide it like this. If it's your problem, I look for my solution. If it's your problem, you look for your solution. No, it's a couple, you are in a marriage. You find solutions for problem, and your problems are shared. A problem shared is a problem I've solved, isn't it? So anyway, for that reason, sometimes they say, oh, let's go and sleep with. The husband and wife will plan, or the wife can take a unilateral decision and say, you know what, I'm going to go and sleep with a colleague, or sleep with a friend, or sleep with his best friend, so that I can give him a son to preserve my husband's name. That child is not your husband's child. Don't be daft. It's not your husband's child. You are better off, both of you, looking for solution together or adopting for the love of Jesus Christ. If it's gone on long enough, you can adopt. There is always a solution that takes, but it will take courage to go for that solution, right? It will always take courage and to put away shame and pride. Instead, people go for the sinister, dark solution of cheating their way out of it. But in doing that, you're actually cheating your way out of the marriage. If you think cheating is a way to stay in a marriage, you lie. You deceive yourself. Nothing is hidden. You're going to be exposed, whether you do it together or separately. Why? Because there is God who keeps account of everything you do in your marriage. A third reason people do it is workaholic factor in a marriage. What I call workaholic factor. So a man or a wife or a husband is too busy for the marriage, right? He's always working, he's at work morning till night and all of that. More or less putting his job, his career or her career above her marriage, above the needs of the husband, of the wife. So because of that, sometimes, and a man who is away all the time or a woman is away starts to cheat, because he's always away, he's always with a colleague, and they start to cheat, maybe going for conferences and all of that. So is cheating a way, is a solution to a problem? No. What you have done is, instead of you to think about and assess your contribution to your marriage, the marriage that you swore that is going to be number one in your life, instead of you to see how you're going to start prioritizing your husband or your wife, you take the easy way out to cheat. And of course, you are cheating your way out of the marriage. Another reason people might want to cheat is for spiritual reasons. Like, I don't know. It will be interesting for me to hear from pastors and pastors' wives, because everyone is at a different spiritual journey with God, even all Christians. Nobody, I don't think any two people are like on the same level. So your faith, my faith is different from my husband's, I mean, in terms of depth or width or breadth, everybody has a relationship with God, right? So now, if you have a husband or a wife who is more spiritual and decides that, I'm going to be fasting and praying for this, maybe they have problems, guys, maybe they have challenges and all of that, and they say, you know what, I'm going to pray, and in that praying, I'm going to fast. And when I'm fasting, I don't want to, have intimacy or sexual relations with my husband or my wife. The Bible tells you clearly that once you are married, your body is no longer your own. So you cannot withhold your body from your husband or your wife, ideally. You can't. Number two is, it says if you are going to deny each other, you have to agree. You have to agree. So if you say, I want to fast for 1 week or 1 month, 40 days in my church, and especially if you and your husband are not in the same church, there is a problem. Now, if in your church as a woman, it's mostly women, you say, there are 40 days in my church, and you interpret the scriptures to me, I have to be holy. Excuse me, madam, marriage is a holy union. Pastor, marriage is a holy union. So having sex doesn't disturb you from praying to God. As long as you're having it with your husband or your wife, your union is blessed. You are one. Remember, father, mother, you will leave your father and your mother, you will cleave unto your wife, the two shall become one flesh. So how do you now separate and say, I'm praying, therefore I can't sleep with my husband and my wife? No. If you decide you're not going to sleep with one another, it has to be a mutual decision. It's not something that someone feels, is being denied access to your body, right? So that's another reason. So for spiritual reason, in a marriage, imagine one is a Christian and one isn't. So, and this one feels like, you're not good enough, you're not holy enough, so I can't sleep with you. All sorts of things happen in marriage. And so for spiritual reasons, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, for spiritual reasons, the same God that you're serving, you're not obeying his word, but you're using him as an excuse to break his command that is supposed to keep you together, because you don't want to be tempted. You don't want your husband or your wife to be tempted, right? So that's another reason that people think is enough to cheat. Somebody is married to a pastor and she isn't like a deep Christian. You know what I mean? Her relationship with God maybe is at still the baby stage. So she doesn't understand all this. I have to fast for 1, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and you are denying her. And then she said, you know what, let me go and cheat. Or he says, you know, let me go and cheat. My wife is too spiritual for me. Guys, do not be unequally yoked. It's a scriptural verse. Marry somebody of the same faith. Marry somebody you can go to Bible study together. Marry somebody you can study the word together, so that, you know, you are digesting and you are eating and digesting the same food. Not that this one is drinking milk, the other one is eating cow leg that is as big as this one. You are at different stages. It's going to be tough. If you do that, just know that you will embrace the challenges that comes with it and stay united. Now go back to Genesis chapter 20, which is a story I'm telling you about Sarah and Abraham. I want to tell you how God views cheating in a marriage. Remember, Abraham says, she's my sister. And Sarah says, he's my brother. Instead of he's my wife, he's my husband. This man, innocent man, King Abimelech of Gerar, takes Sarah. God appears to him in a dream and says, you are a dead man. Abimelech, you are a dead man. The woman that is with you is another man's wife. Can you hear that? You think as a wife that, oh, if I lie, you know, because my husband cannot give me a child, so let me go and sleep with another person. God sees you as another man's wife. You can't go hurry yourself for any reason. Husband, God sees you as another woman's husband. I don't know why I'm choking, guys, but just bear with me. Let me have a sip. So, God told Abimelech, you are a dead man. You are with another man's wife. Abimelech was like, what? No. God, it is out of the integrity of my heart and the innocency of my heart, of my hands, that I have done this. So that did Abraham not say to me that Sarah is the sister? That even Sarah herself told me that Abraham is my brother. How is it that I'm guilty of this? And God says that, yes, it is out of the integrity of your heart that I am now telling you, because, yes, I know that you did not know. I know. But that is why, because I've seen your heart, that is why I stopped you. I withheld you from going in onto her, because you'd have been dead. So it is my prayer. What I get from that is, and it should be your prayer, that no matter the challenges that comes to you or to me in our marriages, that God will withhold us the way he withheld the King Abimelech, from sinning, that God will withhold us from sin in Jesus' name. Amen. So God said, I withheld you because of the integrity of your heart. That means he fears God. He wasn't planning to take another man's wife. He erred in error because he was misled. How much more anybody who plans to go and sleep with another man's wife or another man's husband, another woman's husband? Imagine. And God said, okay, fine. You have to restore Sarah back to her husband, Abraham. He is a prophet. He will pray for you. Do you know what God did to Abimelech as punishment for taking another man's wife innocently? God did not spare him. God will not spare you now if you cheat on your husband. God will not spare you. God did not spare Abimelech. God will not spare any man who takes another man's, who sleeps with another man's wife for any reason. Even in the reason of innocence, like Abimelech, who was innocent of all the charges. How much more those who do it deliberately for what they think are good reasons? There is no good reason enough to disobey God. And God now said, don't worry, Abraham will restore Sarah to him. Stage number one. Number two, tell him he will pray for you and you will be healed. Otherwise, because God knows that we have will of our own. Just because he tells us to do something doesn't mean we'll do it. I mean, he told Adam and Eve, don't eat of the fruit. What did they do? They ate it. So he said, but if you don't do it, God is merciful. He gives you the consequences of your action, so that when he's judging you, he'll be fair. He told Abimelech, if you don't restore her, you will die. And every one of your people or your family, everybody will die as well. So in the next morning, he told this dream to the people in his country, the elders and everything. Everybody was very afraid. He called Abraham and said, why have you done this thing? That this is a great sin. The sin of adultery is a great sin. I know people say all the sin are the same. My dear, the sin of adultery, do not be fooled, is a great sin. God hates it. Abimelech said so. He said, why have you done this thing? Why did you say to me that she's your sister when she's your wife? And then you know what Abraham said? Abraham said, well, actually, more or less, I didn't lie, maybe I didn't tell the whole story, but I didn't lie like that, because Sarah is my sister. True. She's not my mother's daughter. She's my father's daughter. In other words, Abraham and Sarah are stepbrothers and sisters. He said, so that is it. And then he restored. He did as God commanded. Wise man, wise king. He didn't say, oh, let me get power. He restored Sarah, and then he gave Abraham, who is supposed is a migrant, an immigrant in his country. He gave him oxes and just cattle, and gave him male servants and female servants. In other words, he established him. He poured wealth on him, and then Abraham prayed for him. And in other words, when Abraham prayed for him, he got healing. The king got healing. You know what God did to him? For taking Sarah at all. He has not slept with her. Don't get it wrong. He has not slept with her, but he thought of sleeping with her. To God is adultery. Remember, Jesus told us that if you even look and think in your heart that you want to sleep with this person, you committed adultery. That's how God sees it. So it's not until he didn't peel off Sarah's clothes. The fact that he has taken her at all is adultery in God's eyes. And so what God does, he shut down all their womb of every woman, every man related or in Abimelech's land, until Abraham now prayed, and then they got healing. So that's what would have happened. They would have had impotency, they would have had childlessness. No, even their animals wouldn't have been giving birth. And you know that's extermination. They would have died, just like God said. So what I'm telling you is today, if you find yourself tempted, even if your husband or your wife suggested, please don't do it. Pray, and God will bring a solution that pleases him. Please, I beg you, I don't know what you are going through in your marriage. No, but I'm telling you, there is no excuse good enough. Pray, you get solution. Find solution. Search. You'll be surprised that people are in your shoes and they have not gone the way of cheating. Cheating, to answer the question, cheating is not a way out, or is not a solution of any kind, temporary or permanent solution to any challenges, to any problems you will encounter in your marriage. In our case, I'm just going to give you one example. In our case, when we came to this country, we had no problem. Then 2 years later, we wanted to renew. It was declined. We were in court for about 9 months. But before then, we were given 5 days to leave London. And that was when, if we were going to, seek this option of, oh, why don't I go and marry somebody else? Why doesn't my husband go and marry another just for paper? We could have done it. But we decided, no, we're not going to do it. This is us and God. Worst case scenario, we will leave the country and go and stay in another country, right? So you have to be willing to lose it all because you fear God, and God will see your heart and bless you. Eventually, after 9 months in court and money, a lot of money spent, God bless our brother I know too who helped us. God brought a helper. He brought a lawyer who fought our case, and it was gazetted, and we got our paper. Today, we and our children, we are citizens in London. So what I'm telling you, I just want to encourage you that no matter the problem, whether it's childlessness, whether it's impotency in your marriage, just make sure solve it together. Your husband's problem is your problem as a wife. Your wife's problem is your problem as a husband. If you see each other as one, you will not be isolating your problem and asking for solutions separately. Cheating is not a way out. Stay out of adultery. God frowns on it. Read Genesis chapter 20. Read Ecclesiastes chapter 4 from verse 9 forward. And give me your thoughts and let me know what you think. So I pray that God will deliver us from adultery, that God will banish every thought in our hearts concerning cheating, and God will deepen our love for our husbands and our wives, and we will all live happily ever after, doing God's will, raising godly seeds for godly children for God, in Jesus Christ's mighty name. Amen. Please share this video, guys. Please click the like button, share my video. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. I'm going to put the link to my last video and to previous videos about, for example, the video about wives using sex as a weapon, sexual abuse. I have some very banger topics, guys. Look through my videos. Stay blessed. Follow me on TikTok at DearStellaTV, the same name. I also have my book channel on TikTok called at Author Stella, and this is my book, Indecent. I hope you like it. This is Elna and Toye Briggs. It's an interracial romance. Find it. If you find it and you've read it, let me know. Leave me a comment. Guys, leave me a comment. Until next time, stay blessed.